Before we start this video, I want to make sure I mention the once tense and twents categories that I've mentioned in past recordings. Everything that is in first tense, as in one number place, 1 through 9, A through I, is considered once. Anything from 10 to 19, they're in the teens and they're in the tens. And then when you get to 20, it's twents, because anything at that point is a plus plural. And in tense, it's a plus expression. And in once, it's an ongoing notion. So when we get into words like audio and video, notice that audio we talk about when we hear sound. And video is something we talk about when we see sights. When you just say the word hear and see, notice that the word hear starts with the letter H, which is the number 8. So it's here, expressing the active reference. Now when you see something, it's in tense, it's at 19, the highest spot in the tense category, 19S. The subject is expressing expression. And the two E's are right in the center of the once category, making 10, which is what you see, actively identified as 19, right before the thing, because S is one below the plus symbol T, and double E is literally saying expressing that expression. So you see it. So you see how hear is something that isn't visual. It's just something that you have in your head through your ears, or it's something that's here. And then when you say see, it's something that's intense at its highest tense category at 19 and expressing. The other one is expressing the active reference. See is just expressing expression. See how that's different. Now when we go to audio and video, you have an A, which is the very first vowel, followed by a U, another vowel. The vowels have a feminine nature because they nurture the word. From A to U, it's an active unit. And then it's dio, as in to and from, or dia, identified ongoing. And you're identifying the ongoing active underlying something. And it's to and from identified ongoing. It's A-U-D-I-O. So then from being that close, it's a once category A, 1, all the way into a twents category, U, as a unit. But those were both vowels. So together you have an active unit. And then D is coming through the doorway, dia, to and from, first place coming through, and then identified, ongoing. And when you say the word video, we already start up at a V, which is 22 in twents. So it's out there, and anyone can see that because it's out there, twents, video. Not just your sight, intense, but visual or video. So now we have a 22 followed by an I, which is the highest in the vowels in once, because A was the lowest, followed by a U, which is a unit. So it's two vowels. Now when you get to video, it's V, a consonant, 22, vital, to any, two, and then it's identified, dia, expressing ongoing. See how audio is something that we identify ongoing because it's something you hear in once. And then video is something that expresses an ongoing. It may be hard to follow what I'm saying there, but I hope you do. Talk about audio. We've got Ludwig van Beethoven. He was baptized December, which is 12, the active base, or as it lie, 17th, on cue, 1770, on cue, in the hundredths category, and generated an even ongoing. His name being Ludwig, it would be as it lie, or the active base, unit, dia, plural, identified, generated, or severed and even, because G is 7, van, as in vital, active notion, Beethoven, as in beat, haven, or beat oven, base, expression upon itself, plus, to any, here ongoing vital expressed notion. So he was a composer, a musician, one of the classics. Everyone knows about Beethoven, the beat haven. See how magical and almost like a parable everybody really is if you see the magic in our universe? Of course, you can't have Beethoven if you don't have Bach. Johann Sebastian Bach, born March 31st, 1685. J is coming into tense, or what is being tended to. So Johann basically means tending with his hands, or junction ongoing, here, active, notion upon itself. Sebastian is subject, expressed, base, active, subject, plus identified active notion, as in his thoughts, his active notion, and the base active subject having that plus his identified active notion. Okay, sound. And then Bach, base, active, unseen concept, here. So from his mind, he created music. And he is one of the great composers and musicians. Born March 3, the unseen concept or constant to itself. 31, C intense, which is 30, so it's the constant to itself active. And then 1685 is the placement, potential, or piece, here, expressing. So do you see? Another one. Perfect. Always. It always will be. But I'm just trying to show you this is how things work. And here's Johann Sebastian Bach. Now we have Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, or Mozart, as some people say. Wolfgang, plural, ongoing, as it lie, form, force, or familiar, generated and grouped, or severed and even. Active notion, generated and grouped, severed and even. So if you were a wolf, like of a pack, and then of that gang you generated an active notion generated from something that's in a pack or in a place. You know, a wolf is a plural ongoing as it lie form because they come in a pack. But if you give somebody the name Wolfgang, it's actually going to be the plural ongoing as it lie form generated active notion generator. And then if you put that with the kind of person he is and his birthday, the way it resonates, you'll see. So you move from a Wolfgang to a Amadeus before the Deus, AMA, active manifested action, dia, express unit subject. And then you would say Mozart, almost like music, Mozart, manifest ongoing side to side, active reference plus. Birthday, January 1, or the active, 27, the question mark, or the based, generated and grouped, and then 1756, since he's in the century of Q, 17, and then expressing the form, force, or familiar, as a Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. See how that all resonates with why he did what he did exactly with music. He's Amadeus, before the words. So it was just classical music and composing. And Wolfgang was like as if his piano was what he was generating an active notion generated from, or his mind at that point. Like there's multiple layers to it, and it resonates with who he was and stands for in history. So how about Rembrandt? We have Rembrandt Harmenson von Rijn, because he was the son of a man named Harman. If you understand, that resonates with him now because it's his name. So Rembrandt being the reference, expressed, manifest, base, reference, active notion, dia, plus. Harmenson, you could say what his arm is ensuing. And he's a painter and an engraver. Come on now. So you would say, here, active reference, manifest, expressed notion, subject from one side to the other, ongoing upon itself, notion. And then Van Rijn is vital, active notion, reference, identified, junction intense, notion. And he was somebody who would do portraits of people who would sit there. And if you would say the reference, identified, junction, or tense, notion, that's exactly what it is. And it came from his mind because he's brand. He's branding from his REM. We call it REM sleep when you're in that place in your mind. So he's Rembrandt. And then Harmenson is what his arm is ensuing, but it's here active reference, manifest, expressed, notion, subject from one side to the other, ongoing upon itself, notion. That's literally who he is, and he was known for a long, long time because of not just his name, because of the work he did, but he was resonating with his name strongly, and the world still knows about him. With his birthday being July, severed and even, or generated and grouped, 15, ongoing, 1606 is the placement, ongoing, form, or placement, ongoing, familiar. And it's what he does. It's what he did. When I say does, it's because time is just the illusion. Rembrandt's still here. His body just isn't. Or the body that was him just isn't. But the memories of all the things that have ever happened and the knowledge of all things that will to come is available. And I'm teaching it to you through the word so that when we actually have time to meet in public or meet in person, we can do a lot more than just talk about these things. And we can live in a planet that has peace and harmony, because that can be done. This next person, Pablo Picasso, we have Pablo, place, active, base, as it lie, ongoing, Ruiz, reference, underlying, identified from one side to the other, from his mind. And then Picasso. Now, you could say placement, potential, or piece, identified, constant to itself, active, subjected upon itself, ongoing. He's a painter, a well-known painter. But then look at, just say, PIC, pick, as, so. So if he was going to be a person that was going to paint or sculpt, he would picture it as so. And guess what he did? Oh yeah. His birthday being October 10, junction of, 25, vitally identified, and then 1881, active here, here active, or reference here active. A painter, a sculptor, and all the other things that he's been known for resonate with his name, just like everybody. And it's not just a slight coincidence, it's universal. So I hope you're seeing that. Next we have Guglielmo Giovanni Maria Marconi. Birthday, April 25th, 1874. So he's severed and even, G, the generated and grouped, unit, generated, ling, identified, expressing ling, manifested ongoing. Now if you go at Giovanni, generated and grouped, identified, ongoing, vital, active, two ends make 28 as blank space, or you could say a notion upon itself, identified. And then Maria, manifest, active, reference, identified, action. And then Marconi, so it's something that it rides on constant to itself, ongoing, notion, identified. So what does a radio do? A radio is something that sends and receives signals, so it's back and forth. It's Guglielmo, Giovanni, Maria, Marconi, with his birthday being April. 4 is dia, to and from. 25 is vital, or yoke yonder, or based, express, 25. And then 1874 is the reference, or the active here, generated and grouped, severed and even, dia, to and from. So everything about him is about transmitting and receiving and transmitting. And the radio, it's him. Bam, and he lived it in every shape and form. Next we have Philo Taylor Farnsworth. Now think of a photo and a silo put together, but it's identified. So we have a placement or potential here, identified, as it lay, ongoing, and a Taylor of something that's a placement here, identified as it lay, ongoing. Now a Taylor that plus actively, vitally identifies lore, or as it lie, ongoing reference. Form, force, or familiar, airing, Aaron, A-R-N, Arn. So it's form, force, or familiar, active reference, notion, subjecting, plural, ongoing reference, plus here. He's the guy that invented the television, one of them. And his birthday being August 8, here, 19, actively identified or subjected, 06. Ongoing form, force, or familiar. So he's the person that put photos into a silo, or Philo Taylor Farnsworth. Do you see how this really goes into resonating with a person who has a lot to do with the invention of the television? If not, ask questions. I can go really deep into all this stuff. I'm just showing you how it works because we need to stop getting caught up on the details and worry about our lives instead. Next on our list is John Logie Bard, born on August 13th, 1888. He's another character in the invention of the television. If you know what the logos are, that's the prime creation. It's another name for God or the creator. In the same way we use words like Lego, something that you build into things because it's a as it lie, expressing a generated ongoing. It's an as it lie ego. You can turn it into all kinds of different things. As it lie, expressing, generated and grouped, ongoing. Lego. Now we have words like dialogue, means through the logos, but through dialogue. As it lie, ongoing, generated unit of expression. Dialogue. When you have a dialogue with somebody. Now, when we have the word religion, it's literally reference expressing ligion. L-I-G-I-O-N. It's reference expressing, as it lie, identified, generated and grouped, identified, ongoing notion. It's what you believe it all came from. Religion. So then when you have a guy named John Logie Bard, it's John, because J is coming into tense, ongoing here, notion. Logie, as in the as it lie, ongoing, generated and grouped, or severed and even, identified expression. Be aired, but Bard. Base, active, identified, reference, to and from, or dia. John Logie Bard. And if you wanted to be aired, you would put it on a television. He is one of the detrimental people in the invention of the television. Birthday, August, here, 13th, the active unseen concept, or the active constant to itself, or the manifestation, 1888. Active here, here, here. What you receive, what you send, and it's active here. Not just a radio, a television. And it's going to be aired, barred. See how we are all living words. I'm going to say that forever because it's true. Everything is the living word, and I teach it. I'm the only one who has seen the creation to the point where I'm not caught on all the gore and blood in our world. We can stop that by raising people to understand who we truly are underneath this all. We aren't people who have to go out there and compete with each other. We're just getting over our animalistic tendencies. And as soon as we remove animals from our diet, and as soon as we remove the fact that we're experimenting and doing whatever we want with every other living thing and all of the environmental things, we can change. Obviously, you do have free will, no matter who says you don't. They're just mistaken, and it resonates with their name if they're saying it. I can show you. Believe me, I'm not going to steer you wrong. I'm here to bring you back to the light, the real, loving light, the real God that you happen to be part of. We have one more person in our video section of this audio-video episode named Kenjiro Takayanagi, another person who is known for the television in Japan. Kenjiro is the kinetic expressed notion coming into tense, identity, reference ongoing with that line over the O. I can get into what all the lines and the accent marks on other languages are in another video. If you go into his last name, Takayanagi, plus active kinetic, active, vitally identified, active notion, active, generated and grouped, identity. See how that resonates perfectly with a television inventor. And his birthday being January 1, active, 20, T, it's a plus, and then 1899. The active here, or the reference, identified upon itself. Just like the other guy was 1888, the reference of here upon itself, the TV. He, in Japan, was literally active plus referencing identified upon itself. See how that just changes a little bit in a different place, at a different time, with a different name, doing the same thing. Of course, they had different details in their lives, and that would resonate with their names and their birthdays and their place of birth as well. It really does. Whether people get it or not, that's why it's so important for people to start learning this, because if I could teach children, they would grow up to be geniuses. But nobody wants me to do that because they want to feel like they're doing something for their kids. But all they're doing is sending them off to school to be taught by people who have no idea what they're really doing. Just indoctrinating them to grow up to be good followers. That's not going to help anybody. Telling people to just live their best lives while they're having all kinds of things promoted to them, they don't even know who they are. They don't even know what their best life would be because they don't have the chance to get to know who they are inside and to get to know the creation that they live in and nature. That's what we all need. Whether we get it or not, we need to not be afraid to get our hands dirty, to go out and to understand each other, to not be afraid to talk and be nervous around everybody. That's all stuff we can get through if we care about each other enough to help. That's going to be the end of this volume of Game of Names. Until next time, peace and God bless.